Good morrow, meat sacks. It's me, everyone's favorite adorable cartoon robot dog and mascot of Omnis, Scrappo, here to fill your ear flaps full of what's in store for the next unfiltered episode of the Omnis Oddcast. We have guests Hanna Strauss, whose artistic career includes work on films like The Crow and The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, as well as more recently the creator of the chlorophyllic champion of the environment, Joe Plant, a full-color hand-drafted indie comic. Strauss will be joined along with guest Ben Wickey, the mad art workaholic powerhouse, director of the House of Seven Gables, illustrator of the illustrated Vivian Stan Shell, a fairy tale of grim art, as well as animator on Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, winner of Emmy Awards 2023 Best Animated Independent Feature. Right. So tune in.
So hi.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. How's everyone's weekends going?
Good. I finished off page 1 of issue 5.
Let's go. That's exciting.
Very cool.
What about you, Ben? What have you been up to lately?
I've been working on stuff. I'm still working on the Edward Gorey documentary.
That's
this
exciting.
is my 10th year this year working on it. So still doing that, still doing comics. It's raining here right now in Burbank, which is rare.
Yeah.
The rare freakish occurrence. So
I heard it's been raining a lot in LA lately.
Yeah, Ben, I was looking briefly at your website, and the first thing that came to my mind is that your style reminded me of Edward Gorey. I saw some similarities in your illustration style to Edward Gorey's. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I love pen and ink and cross hatching, so I got that love from studying Gorey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of missed the opening to Masterpiece Theater when they used to have his animation, that opening animation.
Yeah.
They don't show it anymore.
Mystery.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't really do PBS Mystery anymore. I miss it, because it would have Vincent Price as the host, and when it was Diana Rigg, she would be inhabiting these sort of blown-up, gory illustrations, which are always so fun to see. Yeah, I miss it too.
Yeah. I don't really know the work of Edward Gorey all that well, to be honest. Maybe you could tell me a bit about him.
Oh, Edward Gorey was a writer and illustrator of strange, I suppose you'd say, whimsically macabre little books. As she said, PBS Mystery opening titles was not animated by him, but designed by him, as well as when Dracula went on Broadway in the 70s with Frank Langella. All the sets were illustrated
cool.
by Edward. And, so he lived sort of as a recluse with, I think, 2,000 books and cats in a tiny little captain's house on Cape Cod, and I'm from Cape Ann, Massachusetts, so the two Capes, Yeah. So, we've been trying to get this documentary about his life finished, and it's in the home stretch, but we've got great people in there. We've got Terry Gilliam and Neil Gaiman.
Oh my God, that's exciting.
Daniel Handler, who's Lemony Snicket, So we've got some really good names of people contributing. Edward died in the middle of making the film in 2000, so that empty space is filled by some really cool people just talking about his influence upon them.
Wow, that's exciting.
It's been fun.
Looking forward to that when eventually it's released. It comes out. You've been working on it for a year, you said?
10 years.
10 years?
10 years, wow.
10 years, that's different. That's different than a year.
Did I say a year? No. No, I've been working on, I was a high school jerk when I was working on, I began working on it.
Wow.
And, now I'm married.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm the worst judge of my own work, so I don't really approve of work I did yesterday, let alone 10 years ago. So
oh yeah, I'm the
my
same
I think
way.
misgivings of my own work from a decade ago. I might have to go back and redo some things. But
I think that's a great misconception that a lot of the public has, that they think creators get this instant success and, in no time at all, they create these visions. But a lot of people have been working on their projects for years and years. So
oh yeah,
even
yeah.
before they get any recognition.
Yeah.
oh yeah, exactly.
Takes a
I'm
long
sitting on
time.
quite a lot of work myself. I've got a graphic novel that's due September that I've been working on since 2016
Oh wow. That's crazy.
about the Salem witch trials. So it's been, you find yourself with projects that you spend quite a lot of time to get, and you get to know yourself in the process too, because you change and the project changes, and your initial conceit will evolve in
Absolutely. It's been my experience
interesting
working on my comic for the past, I guess. Well, I've really been focusing on it for the past 2 or 3 years, but I made the first issue back in 2019, and that's only like 5 years. And like you said, like I don't know, looking at your old art, you can't help but be kind of critical of it because you've changed so much. But
I mean, when I started working on Joe Plant, I really didn't draw continuously for like over 10 years because I was working in another kind of profession. So it was during the pandemic that I picked up a pen out of boredom to entertain myself, basically, and start drawing. So that was back in 2020. So I've only been working on Joe for the past 3.5 years or so. So he's even evolved a lot within those 3 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The ideas take on.
I was looking at the work. It's astonishing. It's really wonderful stuff.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Joe Plant. I love Joe Plant. It always stood out to me among the other indie comics that I see in the community, just because it's traditionally made, illustrated, and full color, and I don't know, the style is very very unique, and I don't know, it's a lot of fun.
Interestingly enough, I get a lot of comparisons with Robert Crumb's work, and it's really not intentional. Although if you look at it this way, he is a contemporary of mine, but I really didn't read or collect his comics, but a lot of people see similarities in the style, which I find very flattering. So,
in skill. But I mean, you have your own style too, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
I was going to ask if maybe both of you guys could give like a brief history on your work as artists, just in general, if that's not asking too much. Just a quick little rundown, memory lane.
Better get the no-dos out.
Timeline of your work. Yeah, I was looking at your IMDb page, and it's really really long. There's just a crow and a gem and
all the episodes there. Nobody talks about Skeleton Warriors. That was another one I worked on. What the heck happened to that show?
I have no idea. I've never heard of Skeleton Warriors. I like the name though. That's exciting. Hanna, you want to go first? Or Ben,
you want to go first?
No, after you.
Oh God. Well, basically, my career started out as being an illustrator in advertising and commercials, and that was like, okay, I did that now, but this is getting kind of banal and boring. I want to do other things, like doing storyboarding in animation and film. And I had classmates from the School of Visual Arts that were already doing that, so I sort of followed their path into Hollywood and just put a portfolio together and through recommendations, got into some of the studios like Filmation and stuff, and then it sort of like snowballed from there. I got to do work on other shows from that. And then
sorry, where did you say
second
you
goal
studied art?
School of Visual Arts in New York.
Oh, okay, cool.
Have you heard of it?
It sounds familiar. I don't know.
Well, I studied comic art and illustration there. I studied comic art with Will Eisner, and couldn't have a better teacher.
That's really cool.
But, and writing for comics, I studied with Harvey Kurtzman, so I couldn't have had better teachers or guidance from those two.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
you were in the right place at the right time. Those two are.
I guess so, but I'll tell you quite honestly, 50% of the time it was a lot of joking going on amongst, because that medium just attracts a certain type of personality. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of joking going around, also. So 50% of the time it was fun and games, and the other 50% it was work. But it definitely helped to contribute to my sense of humor, no doubt. So
I think that's a good balance. That's when you're having fun. I think I don't know, you get more out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after Filmation.
After Filmation, and I worked on also Gem and the Holograms. I did some boarding on that, and Captain Planet and the Planeteers. I boarded a few episodes of that. But that has a rabid fan base too. You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah.
And
people still reference.
And of course, at film. Yeah. And at Filmation, I worked on She-Ra, Princess of Power, Filmation's Ghostbusters, and Brave Star. Wow. So those were the two shows I was assigned to.
That's kind of amazing that you worked on Captain Planet. That's like the original, eco-defending superhero. And then Joe Planet kind of mirrors that a little bit. That's awesome.
And what a lot of people don't realize, Captain Planet's voiceover in the first episode was Tom Cruise.
Really?
But yeah,
that's a fun fact.
He voiced. In fact, they did the model sheets that looked. In the model sheets, they made Captain Planet look like him.
Really?
But then they had some kind of contractual dispute or something, and he left the show. So they had to change the way he looked after that.
Now they gotta make a Captain Planet movie before it's too late. Get him to cast him the role.
Yeah. So after my first stint in Hollywood, I moved back to New York and did a little bit more of advertising work and realized I missed working in film. So I completely redid my portfolio, and somebody referred me to an agent out there, and that's what started me getting film work. It's really hard as an illustrator to get film work without an agent. So I got lucky with that. And my first, I did a couple of smaller features, but the first major feature I worked on was The Crow. So, and funny enough, I didn't even know what The Crow was.
Yeah.
I had to go to the director. Could you give me like a brief history or synopsis of this character so I know what I'm working on before you hand me the script? So,
did you end up reading the comic before the story?
I never even heard of it. But things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience. I learned so much working on that show. So, and I got along with Alex Proyas just fine. We worked well together. The only sad part about it was I could not retrieve the original drawings of my storyboards. And that was partly my fault. I gave the director the original drawings. I should not have done that. I should have submitted photocopies.
Damn.
So... Yeah, when I met James O'Barr at a recent Comic-Con, he asked me if I had any of the storyboards left because he liked collect them and stuff. I said, no, unfortunately, I don't have them. So they are gone.
That's too bad. Yeah, I'm curious what the storyboards look like. I bet that'd be really interesting to look at now.
Mm-hmm. Well, fortunately, Peter Pound didn't make that mistake that I did. He gave Alex copies of his boards. So I learned my lesson from that, because if you look on auction sites, you'll see you'll see copies for sale of his storyboard scenes from The Crow.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Was there any making of book in which your storyboards wound up, or did you just never?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't think so. No. It's unfortunate. So, but I can like point out the scenes to you if you watch the movie.
I
which
did.
ones?
Yeah, I watched the movie too.
Yeah. No,
That's fine.
For research.
That's
also,
my
it's
scene.
like
Yeah,
it's one of the earliest superhero movies too. Like, and it has a lot of tropes that were later copied in modern superhero movies, which is really interesting. Like, I didn't realize that Batman didn't invent the whole disappearing when you look away thing. That was such a recurring bit that they just kept using. But, yeah, that movie.
Well, I think also Eric Draven was sort of led the way in the whole goth movement too, in terms of style and taste and stuff like that. He's a big icon in the goth movement.
Yeah.
So
cool. So Crow. That was 1993. Still 30 years of your career left.
well, I worked on other films. I mean, I don't want to go through all of them. If they want to see my, what I worked on, they can go to IMDb and just bring up my name. It's all there.
Yeah.
So I worked on Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley.
Oh, that's cool.
That one. Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was interesting. Every time I watched Chris Farley do a stunt, I thought he was going to die, because he put so much of his heart and soul into what he'd be like, all sweating and red faced. I said, oh my God, he's going to keel over during the filming.
Yeah.
I already went through one deceased through a film. I don't need to go through another one. So, but no, he poured his heart and soul into his work when he was doing. He was very devoted to what he did. It's just sad that what happened to him. Mm-hmm. And and Chris Rock, I think, was in the film too. So he was there on the set too. And what else did I work on? Oh my God! Oh yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked on that.
Really?
But,
oh my God.
But that was an interesting film, because that was funded by Tribeca, which is Robert De Niro's company, and he funded that film, and he ended up obviously playing the role of fearless leader in the film. If you watched it, let's see.
I saw the trailer.
I thought it was kind of odd.
That character looked ridiculous.
I know, that was Robert De Niro. Yeah, he cast himself in the film as the fearless leader.
And produced it too, I thought, right?
Yeah, he was one of the producers. Yeah, and wow. It was kind of weird, because the director of that film never did film before. He was a stage director who worked on Broadway. And he had some kind of direction with Robert De Niro. So De Niro gave him the opportunity to direct this film. I don't know the inner workings of what was going on there.
It's kind of crazy,
but,
for your first directorial debut to be a cartoon live-action crossover of Rocky and Bullwinkle with Robert De Niro.
From Broadway to Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh my gosh. I saw that movie in the theater when it came out, because I've long been a huge fan of that cartoon, so I remember that distinctly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I tried to get Chris Jenkins on that show as a storyboard artist. He was a friend of mine, And he was one of the artists that worked at J. Ward Studios on some of their cartoons there, like, Fractured Fairy Tales and whatnot. But
of course.
for some reason, he didn't want him to work on it, I guess because he wanted it to be his own interpretation of Rocky and Bullwinkle, instead of actually having a J. Ward artist working on it. So
if you've got a J. Ward artist, wouldn't you?
It's a bold choice.
I don't know. I don't try to second guess people anymore. So, yeah. So
you're a storyboard artist on
that
Rocky and
director.
Bullwinkle?
Yeah, that what?
You were a storyboard artist?
What? Yeah, and it was really weird because I didn't get along with one of the few directors I didn't get along with very well.
Mm-hmm.
But so I eventually left that show. I did a lot of boarding on it. I mean, I got compliments from, I think it was from Pixar, the directors up there. They really liked my boards.
That's awesome.
So I didn't feel bad about it. I just, you can't get along with everybody,
Yeah.
So but it is what it is.
Yeah. I've definitely experienced that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then how much time passed between that and starting up Joe Plant?
Well, I decided to then take a break from the industry, and first I had an exotic pet sitting business in Los Angeles that primarily centered upon like pet birds and reptiles, the more unusual pets, and I did that for a while. And that led on to doing biology work because I originally studied biology in college. So I volunteered on a scientific project, and that led me to getting more jobs as a biological technician for different wildlife biologists on conservation projects. And I did that for 10 years.
That's amazing. But you must have a ton of
that's so cool.
Stories from that time in your life.
Oh, yeah. It was a learning experience, too. But I feel as an artist, anything that you experience through life, you can use later on in your art. It all contributes to your creativity somehow.
Yeah, it broadens your horizons and, very specific knowledge and experiences that you can later tap into for stories and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which you did with Joe Plant.
There you go. So some of that experience is reflected in the storyline in Joe Plant. So the information that I gathered and the stuff that I learned being a biological technician working with conservation biologists.
Yeah.
So definitely.
That's amazing. I love the crossover of science and art. I'm always like, I don't know. I feel like I'm very captivated by artists who incorporate that into their work. Like last month, I had my friend Mike Kesey on, who's really big into paleontology and archaeology, and he's making a comic called Paleocene, which is about these lemurs. Well, he's making two. He's making one called Pleistocene and one called Paleocene, which I might mix up, but yeah. I don't know. It's really cool when people are able to incorporate I don't know, other worlds into their art for personal experience. Adds a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it's so great too that these experiences that you've had have turned into Joe Plant, which is something that only you could have done with those experiences. With experiences in art, in comics, and in biology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I had to educate. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say it makes it all the more unique.
Oh, yeah. I had to educate myself on plant-based characters in comics to make sure that Joe Plant was unique. So, I mean, yeah, he shares certain attributes in common with other plant-based comic book characters, but I wanted him to have his own unique set of traits that separated him from the ones that are already known.
I think
So I did my little bit of research on that too.
Yeah, I think he's fairly unique. I don't think any other plant character has a leaf mustache quite like his.
Not even Swamp Thing.
No. And then what's
Swamp Thing and
Man Thing from Marvel?
Man Thing. Somebody told me that he reminded them of what was it, Dr. Floronic or Mr. Floronic, or something like that.
I don't know that one. Yeah, there's not a lot of plant characters that I can think of. Groot, I guess. Poison Ivy. But yeah.
Yeah, and then you're getting into trees.
Yeah. Groot's just a tree. Ents.
Yeah. The apple throwing trees from Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
That's an example.
Yeah, I just saw the weirdest movie on Tubi called The Orchard. Have you heard of it? It's like this horror movie.
It's about sentient trees.
Well, they were this weird orchard of cherry trees that this guy inherited from his grandfather. And apparently his grandfather had this weird relationship with the cherry trees that he fed them his blood.
Oh.
So
That's a cool hook.
So and the guy was like high on drugs half the time, so you'd see him like having these like experiences and hallucinating, conferring with the trees and giving the trees his blood as fertilizer. Like, what the heck is this all about?
Some blood magic on those trees. That's crazy.
Hey, Tubi is a great resource for funky horror movies, if that's what you like to watch. It's free.
I do. So
I do.
I gotta find that.
Yeah, I do watch Tubi.
Orchard. When was it made?
The Orchard, yeah. What?
Do you know when it was made?
2022, I think it said on the date.
Oh, so it's recent, very recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ben, did you want to give a rundown on the timeline of just your art career in general?
Sure. Well, I'm an animator and illustrator. Like I mentioned, I've been working on the Edward Gorey documentary for 10 years. I went to Cal Arts with my friend here, Wylder, in the experimental animation.
Yeah.
Graduated in 2018. I illustrated a book on a comedic singer-songwriter named Vivian Stanshall from a band from the 60s called the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, which is sort of the missing link between Monty Python and the Beatles. So I've done that, and I've done animated films like The House of the Seven Gables. And currently I'm finishing up, God willing, my book on the Salem witch trials, which is called More Weight. It'll be out hopefully next year. And hopefully this year. I can't guarantee that. But I've also been one of the illustrators on the Moon and Serpent bumper book of Magic by Alan Moore and Steve Moore.
Oh, I didn't know about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been doing stuff with him. And then just various different stuff with different writers. But I've mostly been doing freelance illustration work now that we've, with the animation industry.
Oh yeah.
In the current health state that it's in.
Yeah. I'm I want to do an episode on the hellscape of the animation industry soon, because Stephanie Delazari, the posts that she makes on Instagram all the time about like animation, labor history, and just how animators are screwed over the years.
It's a very troubled history. Yeah,
it's a mess right now. I was going to say, you also were the animator for Marcel the Shell Shoes On, right? Or one of the animators?
Yeah, I was one of the animators on that. I started out as an assistant in February of 2020, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so we all went home for 5 months, and when we came back, we had less animators, just because they had moved on to other projects. So I actually got to animate quite a lot on the film, even though I'm not credited as such, but I was sort of an emergency animator.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So a lot of the shots.
Was the stop motion done in the traditional manner? Would you just pose the object or whatever, made slight changes in it, and then shot it, or was it done digitally when they did?
About that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was conventional stop motion. We had a little puppet, tiny little guy, held to the ground with a kind of a wax or putty. But it was sort of unconventional, though, in the sense that very hard to explain. It was a very technical film because all the backgrounds were shot live action, handheld camera.
That's what kind of blew me away. I was like, how did they do stop motion with a handheld camera when, like, I mean, you have to do motion tracking if you're overlaying on top, but then also, like, if you're doing stop motion, you have to have very controlled lighting. So, the days going to change as you're, like animating it, like, over the course of several hours. So that seems like so many different things to... I've never even seen a stop motion, like, live action crossover like that before. That was really impressive.
So, because some of the scenes looked like they were shot in the house, so you would have to have some kind of control over the lighting coming from out of the windows and stuff, right?
Exactly, because if you've seen the film, Marcel, it all takes place in the house. We never set foot in that house. I don't even know where that house is.
Really?
So then the stop motion was superimposed on the house footage? Is that what you did?
Wow.
Yeah, so the camera lighting team had this Herculean effort of matching with the MoCo, with the...
That's amazing,
basically, it was sort of... Yeah, like matching keyframes with the motion so that the camera, frame by frame, would move in the same way that the handheld background was shot. But also, there's lots of trees and nature and things, so all the lighting and shadows were also controlled in that sense. I mean, the shots that I did a lot of shots with Marcel on the dashboard of a car, those flashing shadows from trees and things are constantly hitting the dashboard. So they replicated that on the set.
Wow.
So that shadows would be hitting him in the same way. And they just combined the two, and we would get, stuff back from the VFX guy, and it was seamless. It was.
It was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't know that it wasn't shot like in a different location because it was so seamless. I didn't. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it had its own individual technical challenges there, instead of like working in a controlled environment of a studio where you control the lighting and everything. So first things that come to mind is like Will Vinton and Henry Selick. They do a lot of stop motion. Sure. You know about them?
Oh yeah.
You know them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen.
Not personally, but I know of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him do a talk live at animation festival, glass animation.
And the British guy who does all the claymation stuff, what's his name? He did Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, Nick Park.
And the sheep, what is it? What's his name?
Nick Park.
Is that it? He did the one with the sheep and whatever.
Yeah, it's Nick Park and a guy named Phil Lord. But I think you're thinking of Nick Park, yeah.
Love Wallace and Gromit.
I met him. He's very sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys, do you recognize what this is on my hat?
It's the crow.
Do you know what that is? No, this
Oh,
thing.
Absolutely. I still use those.
Oh yeah, it's an animation board.
That's like using a chisel and stone, you know? You know what that is?
Oh yeah.
That was given to me from the, when I was a member of it, from the Animation Union, Local 839, which is now a guild.
Yeah.
Do you belong to the union, Ben?
I don't, no.
Yeah, okay.
I was in the guild.
My wife does, but I don't.
I don't think I am.
Your wife does? Your wife does?
Yeah, she's a storyboard artist too.
Good. Yeah.
I was in the guild, but I think I haven't worked in it for too long. I don't know. I have to rejoin or something if I got another guild job.
Yeah, if you're not steadily employed, if you're out of it too long, then you have to rejoin it, and then the dues can be kind of hefty too. So.
Yeah, stop motion isn't really part of the guild. There's no really stop motion unit.
That's kind of true. Yeah, all the stop motion stuff I've heard about is mostly freelance. Like just hiring individual stop motion animator people. Well, besides like the movies.
Yeah.
A lot of
it.
My Yeah, I think. Well, the Animation Guild, I think, is still separate, but the Illustrators Union, which was 790, was combined eventually with the Directors Guild. So they're just the illustrators and the directors are under one umbrella now of representation.
Really?
So,
illustrators and directors.
Yeah. Well, we work together.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Making the concept art and everything.
Storyboards and concept art.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
B just dropped off this hat. That's what the knocking was earlier. Should I put this thing on?
What was that?
B, my partner, she just dropped off this hat. I guess it arrived in the mail.
Very good. You gotta keep your head warm in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, if anyone's interested.
Whoa.
Oh,
stickers.
Cool. You like the stickers.
I love
they
that.
just came in the mail. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's excellent. Oh, that's cool.
There's I've been drawing some plant powers lately myself, and there's a druid, an elven druid on the team, and awesome man. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, there are so many different representations culturally from different mythology of plant creatures and plant type characters in folklore. Each there's the what's his name, Gilly Doo in Scottish folklore.
Oh,
you ever heard of him?
No.
Yeah, in fact, in hunting when they wear these camouflage, what they call ghillie suits.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
It's named after him. Yeah, the Gilly Doo.
That's cool.
Some of them are friendly and some of them aren't.
Isn't there also a character called the Green Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Green Man.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
He's got a mustache.
Does he?
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. There was that recent A24 horror movie, Men.
Oh,
There's a green man in that.
Yeah.
Quite a settling.
Yeah, there's also Day of the Triffids. That's another movie that has a plant monster in it. You ever heard of Day of the Triffids?
I have not. Triffids.
Yeah.
What is a Triffid?
I called it a walking spinach the first time I saw it. I said, "What the heck is this thing?" And then there's this really old, monster movie. That it was a plant alien from another planet that invaded an astronaut and came back to Earth, and eventually took his body over. He wasn't animal, he was plant. I can't remember what was it called again? It was called The Monster That Conquered the World. It's from the 1950s. So
is it a Hammer film? Is it British?
No, it's not a Hammer film. It's a sci-fi film. It's not a horror movie, really. It's more of like a sci-fi horror movie. I don't think it's a Hammer film.
I know. I know the early. Yeah. I gotta figure that. I gotta find that.
Yeah.
The monster that conquered the world.
Conquered the world.
That's what it is. I have to look it up now.
Yeah.
I might be giving it the wrong title.
One of the reasons I asked both of you guys here as guests is because you're both traditional art makers. You work, a lot of traditional animation, pen and paper, ink, color.
Oh no, that's the wrong title. That monster that conquered the world was that's monster that challenged the world. It's a different one. No, Monster That Challenged the World is about that giant snail in the Salton Sea. That's a different one.
Sounds like a bad place for a snail to be.
Not this snail. Yeah.
That'd be great. Do you ever see medieval manuscripts of knights fighting giant snails?
No. That's a thing?
No.
Oh, that's the thing. It's part of this marginalia. I guess for some reason monks would get bored, and so sort of when they were illustrating Bibles, those beautifully ornate things.
Oh, the illumination that they do. Yeah.
But it was a theme among monks. They would giant snails with men in armor fighting them, and sometimes the knight would win, and sometimes the snail would win. They're fascinating. Mm-hmm. Really funny.
Oh, those damn snails! They get in the way of everything, don't they?
That's so bizarre.
You should do one about a banana slug from California, right?
Oh, those things are huge.
The state mollusk of California is the banana slug.
Yeah, I've encountered a few. They're wild.
Somebody should do a comic on them.
I know, right?
Definitely.
Be fun.
These images are ridiculous. There's one where there's it's a little different. There's a rabbit riding a snail, and the snail has a human head. It's interesting.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Hey, maybe there were giant snails back then. Who knows?
Well, in The Monster That Conquered the World, there was definitely giant snails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see the original Dr. Doolittle from the 60s with Rex Harrison?
Yes, but he rode that giant snail in the ocean, right? Didn't he? I know.
It's huge.
Yeah, I think they had a boat inserted inside of it or something like that.
They must have.
Imagine the mucus trail it leave behind.
A huge mucus trail.
Yeah. like knee deep and stuff.
Sentient mucus.
And it can have sex with itself too if it wants to. So.
Really? Snails can do that?
Yeah. Oh, this is it.
Or that specific snail.
That alien plant creature.
Yeah.
The title of the movie is The Quartermass Experiment. Boy, did I get that one wrong.
That's Hammer, The Quartermass. It was before they were.
Okay, that is a Hammer. That's a Hammer film, huh? Okay.
Yeah, it was before they were doing Dracula films.
Mm-hmm. An astronaut returns to Earth after an experimental spaceflight afflicted by a strange fungus that transforms him into a murderous monster. Hey, this was the predecessor of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
This
one.
Fungus zombie.
Right? So The Last of Us wasn't the first film made about an invading fungus. It was the Quartermass Experiment. You look at it that way.
My God. Wow. Yeah. How many? They did a series of those, didn't they? Like 2 or 3?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. I got a book somewhere that might have the answer.
You got a couple. Looks like.
Yeah,
quite a collection.
Yeah. Yep.
Got some toys over there too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got some. Stuff.
Man,
and on the other side too, I got books.
I have only 2 action figures, and one was the robot from Lost in Space and the robot from Forbidden Planet.
Oh, those are good ones.
So those.
Those great.
I got it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Forbidden Planet. Big fan here.
I got 2.
Love this. How big is your Robbie the Robot?
They're only like this big. They're not very big.
Some mantis from Halo.
What is that?
This thing is massive. He guards my desk. Along with the... I got this wizard over here too.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's plugged in. I'm not going to move that. That's too much work.
Yeah, in fact, I got the special anniversary. It looks like a lunchbox of Forbidden Planet, and it has a special Robbie the Robot figure encased in it. I never took it out.
Yeah.
So, it's a DVD box set, so that I rarely play. So.
I feel like I've seen so much merch from Forbidden Planet like over the years. Just it's like a collectible thing. They must have made a lot of merch for that movie. A lot of toys.
I don't
and stuff.
know, but I'll tell you one thing: the fan base is very loyal to that movie.
Yeah.
They've attempted to do remakes out of it, and the fans just said no, don't do it. It's perfect the way it is. We don't want any remakes of Forbidden Planet.
They'll ruin it.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at one point in the 80s, Harlan Ellison and Ray Bradbury were asked to write a remake of Forbidden Planet, and they both staunchly said no.
No, it's just. Well, how can you improve on that? How can you improve on that? I mean, even the cast, Walter Pidgeon and Leslie Nielsen and what's her face? Anne Francis? I mean, come on.
Yep.
And Earl Holliman, he was the drunk cook. Remember the scene where he asked Robbie to make all that, I don't know, what was it, bourbon?
Yes.
He asked him to, he gave him a sample to drink, and Robbie says, well, how many gallons would you like?
Yeah.
Said, will 40 gallons do? I just can't imagine them replicating the gestalt of that movie. I just can't. So.
No. But it's whenever people try to remake, these things. Like when they remade Day the Earth Stood Still, or they remade The Prisoner. It's like, you can't have The Prisoner without Patrick McGowan. Like, what are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the same. Modern sensibilities. It's too different.
Yeah, have they remade any Alfred Hitchcock movies? I think that they've done some. Have they done remakes on any of the Hitchcock movies that you know?
Not that I can think of.
Other than the Gus Van Sant Psycho film, I don't know. I don't know if they've done like a. No, I don't think they've done a remake of The Birds or anything like that.
Yeah. He used to do his own storyboards pretty often.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think there's even a book that shows some of his storyboard work in it too. So there's a lot of directors that used to. A lot of directors did their own storyboards.
Still, you see the
I know
birds.
it's James Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of his own storyboards.
That makes sense.
What's his name again? Oh, Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott started out as a storyboard artist, so.
So
I was going to say, I think he had a background. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a few samples of his boards from Blade Runner. Pretty cool. So. Yeah.
Man, I really like the idea behind his newer movies with like Prometheus and exploring the engineers, but man, I wish those movies were better. It's like the visuals are so cool, but then like I don't know, the character decisions are very questionable. What were you saying?
Sure. No, I was just gonna. I thought there were some talks about him with a new
Alien movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Covenant, and that came out a while ago. So, and I think it left open ended, so they'll probably continue that storyline.
A question I get a lot at like Comic-Cons. A question I get at Comic-Cons a lot. So, what do you think about the new Crow remake? They're doing a remake.
They're making a new one?
First Crow. Yeah.
Oh.
With what's the name of that actor who's playing the Crow? Oh,
I have no idea
his name. I said I'd have no opinions whatsoever about it. I don't know anything about it.
What's that?
I didn't know they were remaking.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know.
Let's see. Who's directing it? The guy who played the clown on It, he's playing the Crow.
Oh, okay.
The actor.
One of the Skarsgård.
Skarsgård is playing the Crow. Yeah.
Because I think he's going to play the new Nosferatu in Robert
he?
Eggers.
Yeah. Wow.
He's getting lots of roles.
Nosferatu. Yeah, I think Willem Dafoe is going to be the Van Helsing character.
I like that.
New Crow movie.
I like that casting a lot.
Yeah.
Release date. The unconfirmed release date from IMDb is March 28th, 2024 in Mexico. Why in Mexico? Oh, it was filmed in Prague.
Huh. Prague.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city.
Directed by Rupert Sanders and produced by a team including Victor Hadida and Molly Hassel.
What studio?
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how it's going to do today's current superhero saturated film market.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
No, I mean, it's going to be interesting how the original Crow fan base reacts to this remake.
Oh, yeah.
Remake.
There's probably a lot of pressure. Better be good.
I'm sure. I never even watched this. I knew there was a TV series of The Crow. I think there were two other movie versions of it made, sequels, something like that. So, but I haven't watched any of those, so I've got no opinions about them whatsoever.
Yeah. I just know the film, which I just watched, which was really good. I like the the lighting and the mood, and I don't know, just how unhinged it was. All the villains are just psycho, and they all have really interesting characterization too. Yeah. It seems like they use like miniature sets or something for like the opening when they're like panning over the city. That was cool too.
Yeah, the scene with the church, that cathedral, that was a miniature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was definitely I saw the construction of it. That was it.
It's pretty cool practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like one of the early superhero movies, and it's R. And now they're all scared to make our movies, but I don't know. I think it works really well. Deadpool's very successful. That's like the only one. And Old Man Logan, really. They loud.
Yeah, and they're going to keep the R rating on that character too.
They better.
I understand with the new Deadpool coming out.
Yeah, they better. You can't make Deadpool family friendly. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen. It doesn't work.
He's got a potty mouth.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that movie with Hugh Jackman coming back. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you read my fourth comic of my series, the Migration issue. I sort of poked fun at Deadpool in that one.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that he had a cameo. Yeah.
He had a cameo in there for a page.
That was funny.
I couldn't resist the temptation.
Yeah. It's fun to throw stuff like that in there. I think there's a page in Awesome Man, there's like Homer, or there's like a bunch of background characters or like random like cartoon characters just for fun. Like Dilbert's in there. It's when he's having this nightmare dream that he where he's like fighting a horde of monsters, but then the monsters turn into like people, and then he's like massacring all these people, and he freaks out. He has a lot of guilt, guilt dreams after he becomes a superhero. Because it's so much power. It's too much.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So, have you watched any other recent superhero movies lately? Come out?
Last one I saw was Guardians 3, I think, in theaters. Yeah, I didn't see the Marvels. Or I think is Aquaman 2 out now? I didn't see Blue Beetle either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, the last movie of that genre I watched was on Tubi, and that was with Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm. Suicide Squad was great. I love Suicide Squad. And Guardians 3 was really good. Mm-hmm. Recommend that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, the last movie I did watch, though, I went to see Killers of the Flower Moon.
I saw that.
It was good. Yeah. But prior to that, when I watched Oppenheimer. So, and I have an interesting relationship with that whole period of time.
Yeah.
Because I have, well, he's passed on now. He's much older than I was. He was a mathematics. He has a doctorate in mathematics, and he was part of Einstein's research team at Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, Oppenheimer approached Einstein about working on the Manhattan Project. So it was like what do they call a 6 degrees of separation thing there? Because if my second cousin could have been working on the Manhattan Project, So if Einstein had not turned down Oppenheimer's offer, but Oppenheimer saw the writing on the wall on that project and wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I need to see that movie because
it's 3 hours. So
yeah, well, it's just interesting, like how they're able to make such a massive project with so many people on board and still keep it like a secret for so long. The compartmentalization, that was like the beginning of compartmentalization, like these massive secret projects that government's been doing.
Yeah, well, they had to build a whole town.
Yeah.
For scientists and their families, So.
But I guess
keep everything.
Yeah, like ever since then they've been building these deep underground military bases, these domes, like all over the country. Absolutely massive undertaking. It's pretty insane.
Oh, there are underground missile sites all over the United States.
Yeah. More than that, though, like entire functioning cities, pretty much.
Yeah. But I'm going to be attending the Las Cruces Comic-Con, and I have a half a mind to go visit the Trinity site just because of that relationship that I have with it.
The history.
And there might be a good possibility I might be related to Oppenheimer because that was my grandfather's name. He was an Oppenheimer.
Oh, wow.
German Jewish.
Really?
So there might be a possibility of some, relationship there too.
Yeah. Get that checked out. 23andMe or one of those family tree websites or something.
I don't know.
It's just regrettable that he realized later on, after all this, that what he did wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
So after he saw the devastation that it could cause.
Yeah. I feel like
how it haunted them.
Yeah. I feel like though that there was like so many, like everyone in the world was racing to do that, to create that bomb, that it would have happened. If he didn't do it, like some other scientist would have stepped up and done it in his place.
Well, Germany was already on Hitler was already in the throes of developing it.
Yeah.
And what the United States did is that they stole all their scientists working on that project and brought them over here to work on it.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip was insane.
Yeah. But I mean, they stole them, but also, I mean, with the Nuremberg laws, it kind of, I mean, all Jewish scientists were kicked out of Germany.
Right. Yeah, the Jewish scientists were already working on it before the war.
Before we did.
So the United States had to avail to them all this wealth of talent, I want to call it, to work on it, because they had the knowledge.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. But then after the war with Operation Paperclip, they did bring in a whole bunch of Nazis, former Nazis. A whole bunch. Like in Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very much, yeah.
How I learned to love the bomb.
Yeah.
That was
talking about how they were not only brought into like scientific positions, but actually like some pretty high up positions of power as well, which is kind of disturbing. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Was Werner von Braun one of them?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Yeah.
Was he?
I thought so. Yeah. Rocket.
I don't want to free associate
rockets.
Call somebody in. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now we got to deal with AI. What are your thoughts about AI now?
I have a lot of thoughts about AI. I think. Well, AI art right now. Oh, what's that?
Yeah. Oh, I was wondering what you say.
Oh yeah. Well, AI art right now is super like the way they're doing it is just super immoral, or it's just taking artists' work without permission, using it to generate art, and then companies are like using it to not hire artists and animators, which is really shitty, and they think they could just like have executives put stuff into a program and make shows or make. It's not going to work. It's you need artists. Like
yes.
I have hope, that AI can be used as a tool for artists to allow us, to create more and enhance our art. Maybe speed it up, I guess. That's something that I think is a potential, but I don't personally use AI in my art because I'm not. It's not there yet, and there's not really any way I can integrate it, even if there was.
I think because it is such a new technology, they have to start setting up parameters.
There needs to be more
on its usage.
Regulations and rules in place.
Well, definitely. There is no regulation.
Yeah.
So, except now with maybe the union contracts in Hollywood with actors getting their likenesses used without their permission. Even after death.
Yeah, that's
right.
So
that's insane.
Yeah,
they were trying to get extras to just agree to get scanned once, and then they never have to hire them again, and they can use their scanned likeness in perpetuity. And then extras are like, no, we're gonna protest.
Yeah, and the writers too. They were the first ones to start that up. Because of programs like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They'll have all the executives writing their own scripts with this ChatGPT. Who needs writers?
Yeah. I do use Chat app for creating Scrappo. Not for creating him, but for making him kind of like my ultimate goal is to make a Scrappo real, like a real cartoon character that can respond and interact with people. But for now, it's just a prompt on a chat bot. But I think it's kind of neat. It doesn't. It's hard to keep it canon. That's the one thing. Is it's like it needs corrections constantly to stay in character, because it's just making it up, and it will just get weird tendencies or weird fixations, or just start signing off every message with Bork for some reason.
Bork. I read an interesting article online. I don't remember where it was from. Oh, it was from Scientific American. It was a video from somebody from Scientific American. The problem with these AI programs, because now the internet is being flooded with this stuff. People are using the original to make other iterations of it, and it becomes corrupted.
Yeah.
It's not. It gets more and more corrupted.
Self-referential.
Using it.
Yeah, they need real artists. They need a massive amount of illustrations and work by actual artists in the database in order to draw from. Can't just keep reusing AI art into AI art.
Yeah.
It'll just be this incestuous sort of.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
why does that chicken have a chicken with 6 legs and 4 wings? And what the hell's going on here?
Hands sort of not right.
With 10 fingers.
10 fingers on one hand.
Yeah. Or they even in ChatGPT they did an experiment. They had the program keep reusing the same prose over and over again of some specified text, and it just kept corrupting it more and more and more with each generation.
Yeah.
Until it looked nothing like the original, and it became some nonsense about jackrabbits. It was nothing to do with the original prose that was written.
Yeah. Yeah, it still has a very long. It has a long way to go. But I think it is pretty insane how much it's evolved already within the very short amount of time it's been a thing. Like ChatGPT is very, very recent. It's already completely reshaped multiple industries. I don't know. It's scary, honestly. I hoped that it would be something that could uplift artists, but it seems like It's just making people who are like not artists like way overconfident in their abilities and think that they're like suddenly equivalent to artists, even though they haven't put the time and energy into, studying art or, they think
one engineer even contacted me through LinkedIn and asked me if I wanted to help educate the algorithms, to identify pictures and things like that. And I said, hell no. He would have paid me to do it. I said, no.
Yeah.
So leave me out of that. So. Yeah, what gets me is that they're using work from illustrators without getting their permission.
Yeah.
Ben, this is something that you probably should look intently into, make sure they haven't put your stuff in their database.
It's copyright infringement, and it's like, and they're taking from thousands of different artists. It's not like it's creating an original image. It's an amalgam of like thousands of images just mushed together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a weird time we're in. It's like the Wild West of AI. It's just anything goes. And of course, it's being abused.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's a discouraging moment, and so I sort of look for places in this where you could find an encouraging moment. And I suppose what that would be is that I think it should at least tell artists to do work that perhaps couldn't be replicated by, to do work that is so personal and so weird and so that it couldn't. So I just hope that art itself responds in a way which is really, it could bring about a whole new avant-garde. People just trying to probe the very depths of their imagination and humanity.
Yeah.
And get as surreal as possible, just to outpace at least.
As surreal and as human as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't use any. I don't use any of the, the art programs making comics like Clip Studio or Procreate or Adobe. Mine is all hand drawn. The only thing that I do is I scan it. I'll scan it and retouch it and make it usable online. That's all I use it for.
Yeah,
same. All that artwork is done by hands.
Same here.
Yeah.
All hand drawn, scanned, and then I do redo the lettering in Photoshop. That's the main thing. And then sometimes I'll do small edits or like reuse a background here and there. But
and also because I've been writing too, writing my own book is sort of a thing where, you're mulling over a sentence and you go, okay, well, this is, I want this sentence to be as good a sentence as it can be. I want a perfect sentence. And then you look at it and you go, well, this is a perfect sentence, but could this be replicated by something else?
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing that I always take to heart. Orson Welles at the end of his life was giving a talk about his films, and he was saying, the films that I made could have been better. They really could have been better films, but they wouldn't have been mine. And I take that to heart, and I'm not really at this point looking for perfection, because perfection can be found by a computer, by I'm looking at, in my own work, I'm looking for, the humanity and the imperfections and what makes it, is almost a spontaneity that you kind of have to preserve in times like these.
Yeah.
So that just someone instinctually looks at it and says, yes, this is made by a person with a pulse.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is on my mind. That's something I greatly value.
Also,
just making my own comic and not having having a boss or editor to report to, just letting it be its weird, bizarre, flawed self, but it's my thing, and I'm happy with it. That's what matters.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I call it keeping it as an organic process.
Yeah, same.
Yes. So, but sometimes I'll do a piece of, I'll do a page and I'll say I could have done a better job on it, but it is what it is. So, I mean, you can always sit there and do it over, and obviously it's much easier to do that digitally than it is hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, as I said at the beginning of this, that I'm my own worst critic, and I'll link something up and I'll scan it and I'll go, oh, yeah, that arm is way too short for or whatever, and I'll make adjustments on my Cintiq or something. But that's really the only other than that, and perhaps coloring. I've been doing color work when working with clients, just because clients can change their mind. Actually, I was thinking
that makes sense.
This person's coat, I said green, but I'm really thinking red now. It's sort of like, all right, well, if I did this in watercolor, like I would do something for myself, I would have to totally redo this. But otherwise, working with clients and stuff, you kind of do have to have that kind of wiggle room.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit of working digitally. It's just how easy it is to undo and edit and fix stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I like the rawness of the hand-drawn illustration. Like, even if there's like some small little details that aren't perfect, like it's not that important, and it's as long as it's legible and reads and looks good, meets your standards. That's what's important.
But what do you think of the idea if your character creation ever becomes so successful that they have to hire a staff or crew to create your original character? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't know.
Yeah. You mean like to make the comic or for different medium?
To make, let's say it becomes fantastically popular and picked up by a major publisher, and there's no way that one person can complete that comic that you need. Colorist.
I'd love to just be able to do pencils and then hand them off, because I'm always really eager to get to like the next issue. But I think it would be different, because when I'm inking, I do change things. The inking process is an editing process as well sometimes, like, because I'll just be rereading it over and over, and then I'll be like, this part doesn't feel right. Like, I have to change something. Then I'll go back and I don't know, erase a couple panels, add a new page.
Oh, I'm always shuffling.
Yeah.
Especially with my own comic book, which I've been working on for years. I've learned so much from working now with really great people. And now I then returned to my own work, and I go, oh, wait a minute, I could have combined, these two panels to make it one. I could have added a space here, I could have added pause, So it kind of has to be. In one sense, I'm one of those people that enjoys only having myself to blame.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong, and at the same time too, it's sometimes the process can be so spontaneous and flying off the seat of my pants that being a team of one kind of keeps things rolling or simplifies things. But that's interesting, though, that you'd like a team of inkers, and
I wouldn't mind it, because I just like I want to tell more of the story, and it just takes so long to get it made all as one person. So it'd be nice if I could just focus on pencils and writing, and then I don't know, pass it down the assembly line to other talented people.
But also, it's a series too, which has a kind of a different linear. It's a much different sort of process than, like with me, just like mulling over the same book for 7 years.
Yeah, I've kept all the original pencils of each page that I've drawn. Got a whole folder of them.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
So if heaven forbid I lose a page, I can just re-ink it and recolor it again.
Yeah,
But, even like when I'm writing down a dialogue or whatever that's supposed to be in a specific page, and I'll start sketching it out in pencil. And I said, I really don't like the way the direction is going. And then suddenly I'll listen to some song or whatever that inspires me and completely change the direction of the way the page is looking. I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my method's kind of unorthodox because I don't keep the pencils. Like I just ink right on top of them and then erase them. So I just have the inks and that's it.
Yeah, I've got the pencils on I sketch the pencils out on just regular printing paper. And then I do it on the Canson with Bristol, and I trace it on a light box. Yeah. So basically the pencils are being cleaned up during the tracing process.
Yeah.
And when I'm done with that, I'll do some fine tuning when all the pencils are laid out. So I'll do adjustments there. So actually I'm going like through 3 editing phases of the pencils before the final inking.
Yeah. That's cool.
I find that I'll pencil something out meticulously, and then when it comes to inking, I'll get the pen and then just completely disobey what I had written.
Just disregard. Just go with the flow.
Yeah.
There's something different about having a pen in your hand. It's almost like a completely different sensibility. I don't know.
Well, maybe one day when Joe becomes financially successful, maybe I'll buy a whole digital setup and teach myself how to use the tools. So I know it takes a while to get comfortable with it and perfect it. It's not going to happen overnight, even when I start doing it, from what I understand. So.
Oh, there's so many softwares I do not know.
Yeah.
How to use. So I'm with you on that. It's a thing that.
Yeah, because when I watch tutorials online of people working with this, and it's like they have this whole breakdown of how you can use the tools and the different touches. I said, Jesus Christ, and the amount of time that they're working, like to put in that and put in that and to put. I said, I've got it sketched already.
Yeah. Sometimes it can help, and sometimes it can be a hindrance. It can just be extra complicated.
Yeah, too many choices, huh?
Yeah,
I think
like what you said about AI, Wylder. It's sort of you just use it as a tool. It's not the be all end all. But if you can understand it and how to use it as a tool, then it can help you in whatever way, shape, or form to just make your process easier, better, more efficient.
Yeah.
I think I'm different from a lot of artists right now because I'm like not completely opposed to potentially using it like at some point in visual art, but I haven't done that yet. I've just used the chat bots because for Scrappo and then also just for kind of bouncing ideas around. Like I was making a wiki to keep track of the lore because a lot of it's just in my head and I need to like get it down somewhere. And it just seems like a good way to organize it. It's like World Anvil. They use it for Dungeon Masters. Like use it for running D&D games basically, but it's also good just as like a writing tool. So I was using it to kind of like I would write stuff and then have it like turn like just bullet points into like a cohesive paragraph, just using it as a tool, not not making it do all the work. Just like I already have all the ideas, and it's just organizing it for me, basically, you know.
Sure.
And then it's also not like it's not like I'm publishing the wiki. It's really just a tool to help me organize my thoughts. But I think in that way it's beneficial. And it could definitely be used as a tool. I think something that because like executives right now are like all eager to replace artists with AI. They're like, yeah, if we could just use AI instead of paying all these people, we could save so much money, and we can make whatever movie we want and make sequels. But like once the AI tech gets to that level where you can actually do that stuff, then well, I guess that depends on how many people can get access to that technology. Because if it only takes a small team to like make a full-blown movie, then like you're kind of democratizing the process. Like then everyone could like YouTubers could make a whole movie, you know? Like it doesn't just have to be studios. Like people could start just making whatever they want like super easily, like if they have the tools to do so. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll backfire on them in that way, and people are gonna like we don't want to watch your crappy movies. Like, well, my favorite creator is making stuff that's like way more better and profound because it's like an actual artistic integrity behind it rather than just trying to rake in the bucks, cash grab.
I think just as a sort of rule of thumb, every great moment in art, every great sort of step forward in art is in response to something, something oppressive or something, just or a major change. Doesn't have to be malignant, but I think there's always different responses to change, and it's either chaos or really great art, or
mix of both.
Yeah, mix of both. Yeah.
Well, regardless of all the availability of the tools, it still has to come from that human touch.
Yeah.
It has to originate
from
humanity.
Core.
Yeah, because they still haven't reached the point where artificial intelligence has the same type of imagination as a human. It's not there yet. So.
Yeah.
I think there's some fundamental thing too that with I don't know, I think it's just a human primal thing where we can connect with something that has been made by another living creature, as I said, with a pulse. You know? I can't imagine a film made by artificial intelligence, an entire film that would make me I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that artificial intelligence will never make. Like this might be controversial to some people too. I like that. That AI will never be able to like replicate human emotions or not human emotions, but like human artwork. Because I don't know. I think if it just keeps taking in information and getting better. I don't know. Like there's this book series I'm a huge fan of called the Culture series, and then the premise is like it's sci-fi with like all the technology that you can imagine pushed to its extreme, like pushed to its endpoint, basically, like the maximum constraints possible, and so like AI has evolved to be like these hyper-intelligent beings whose intelligence like dwarfs humans in the ways like that our intelligence dwarfs an ants. Like it's like they're anything a human can do, they can do infinitely better, including artwork. Like there's one book about a girl who gets two extra arms added because body modification is very easy with the technology that exists. Anyone can alter themselves any way they want, basically. But she gets 2 extra arms to play this really impossibly complicated song on this instrument. And and she spent like a decade like trying to learn this one song, which doesn't even sound very good. It's just like really complicated. It's not like particularly pleasing to listen to, but it's just like really like technically difficult.
Sure.
And there's this one part in the book where like the avatar of the ship is like, let me try, and then it plays it like effortlessly, perfectly, like unimaginably perfectly, like with as much emotion and nuance to the performance as like as possible, like even more than imagine possible. And but she's not bothered by it because it's a personal thing for her, you know. Like it's not that she's not trying to play the best because she knows that she can't play the best because AI obviously can do everything better, but it's like it's her personal like quest journey, you know, to play this song to prove to herself, you know, that she can do it. I think that's like a big theme of the books too, is like just what happens to our place in the cosmos in our lives and everything when like there are beings that can just do everything better than us, like and I think we still can find fulfillment. We can still make art, and we can even use, you know, AIs to make crazy art that we wouldn't even have imagined before in the future. Obviously, we're not there yet. It's very rudimentary. It's not at that level. But
well,
you know,
there was some
give it enough time,
cautionary
evolution and improvement. Like I don't think it's off the table that it will make, you know, that artificial intelligence will make art at level of like the greatest human artists, which is just a very it can be a disturbing thought of it, you know, but you just have to. I don't know.
Yeah, there was some cautionary sci-fi movies that were produced back in. One was in the 60s, one in the 70s. The Demon Seed. You ever heard of the movie called The Demon Seed?
No.
Starring Julie Christie. And basically this supercomputer that's made by her husband, the character that she plays, takes over the household and keeps Julie Christie imprisoned and, well, impregnates her. Don't ask me how it's done. You don't. It's not even an android or a human, but somehow this supercomputer impregnates her and keeps her prisoner to make sure she gives birth to its baby or whatever. But that one came out in the 1960s. Told her what to eat, how to act, how much time to sleep. And then there's the Colossus the Forbin Project, which came out in the 1970s. It was about a supercomputer that has combined with another supercomputer that it located in Russia and starts communicating with that computer in Russia in their own language that they created together. And both computers combined together and have decided that humanity was extremely flawed and could not exist properly without them telling them what to do. So, you know, there were cautionary tales way back then about that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah, the AI deciding humans are bad because we're flawed.
Flawed, yeah.
It's a trope that goes way back. I like the culture because that happens, but instead they want to like help us be better, uplift us, and then even when they're like infinitely more powerful than humans, they still like take care of us and, you know, want us to be happy and give us all sorts of entertainment and I don't know.
Well, you would hope that and not become Rise of the Machines.
I think that's a much better feature than Terminator or HAL. We get to be their pets.
Yeah.
But they'll still love us, you know? They'll still love us and take care of us, but we'll be just, I don't know.
Respect our feelings.
Yeah. I mean, but honestly, I think I would trust AI at this point more than our human leaders, quite frankly. They've done a very terrible job.
The legislature, we just put in a chip of wire, and it's like everything is.
Oh, now you're talking about that movie. You're talking about that movie, War Games.
War Games.
Remember that one, War Games?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I need to watch more movies. I need to add all these to my watch list.
You would like War Games. Okay, War Games. 1983. With Matthew Broderick. Unwittingly
watch list.
High school student unwittingly hacks into a military supercomputer. Remember? Have you seen that one? Yeah, while searching for new video games. After starting a game of global thermonuclear war. What a mistake that turned out to be.
That's the biggest understatement of the century. Oopsie.
I won't divulge the rest of it. Let's play global thermonuclear war.
Yeah.
But you know what? He solves the problem. Well, I shouldn't reveal too much of it to you, but think about tic-tac-toe. Mm-hmm. And how many times that you can solve tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, there's only like 10 possible games, I think.
No, there's a lot. Well, he used that, and the computer came to a conclusion, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So.
Maybe not for thermonuclear diplomacy or politics. I don't know. We'll find but I don't think.
What's cool about it? It employs the principles of game theory in it, which I find really fascinating too. If you like the principles of game theory, so yeah.
What are the principles of game theory? I think I've heard that before, but I don't know what it is.
Well, there are different ones. Which one are you talking about?
I don't know. What are
like the Nash principle?
What's that?
Of equilibrium, where both sides benefit from the same goal. Mm-hmm. So that's one. So there's a lot of them. It's called zero-sum game, where neither side benefits from the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the principle that's deployed in war games.
Yeah.
Zero sum.
I don't know anything about gaming.
Ben, you're not a gamer?
Game theory is different than gaming.
I'm sure it applies, but it's different.
Well, yeah, with strategy, you employ the principles of strategy when you're playing a video game. So. I know nothing about gaming.
Yeah.
I just read a book about game theory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't know anything about it either.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the only gamer here. I need to watch more movies. I just said I'm the only gamer here. I need to watch more movies and play less games. Read more books. Collect more books. Oh yeah, I was gonna say earlier, when I moved, I didn't bring my art book collection with me, so I have to slowly regrow it from scratch.
Oh man.
Yeah. I got little corner books now.
So what do you think about TV animation today as opposed to when I was working on it. The shows, the content of the shows, and the characters.
It's very different. Because it's all digital, and then the stylistically, it's like really different. I feel like a lot of the shows back then kind of had a not a completely uniform, but a somewhat more uniform style with like the way that people are drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, that like semi realistic kind of like I'm just thinking like G.I. Joe, He-Man, Gem, original X-Men. Like I feel like the people are drawn kind of similarly, you know. And now every show has like its own specific style of at least American animation, where it's very like unless it's some shows just copy other shows' styles. To be fair, there's a lot of shows that look like Family Guy. There's a few shows, or there's at least one other show that looks like Rick and Morty, or two other shows that look like Rick and Morty now.
How about Ren and Stimpy?
Oh man, and that's another thing. Traditional versus like, or the cells versus the digital. There's a big difference, I think, in just the way characters are drawn, and the way they look, and
the way they move.
Well, yeah, well, there's that Bigfoot, that was categorized back then, either the people looked like people or they were modeled after the Bigfoot type of style, as it was called.
Okay.
So do they use that term now too, Bigfoot?
I haven't heard that. That's
really?
Bigfoot style. I like that.
Yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah. Where it was much more stylized and cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I miss the way that cartoons used to move when they had to redraw everything. They still do it sometimes, but a lot of it's like puppet animation and tweening and more clean.
Yeah, I saw some recent like Looney Tunes stuff, and it was really stiff.
Oh yeah,
because it's like drawn on ones in this man.
Man.
But just the mouth is moving, and there's not much like animation to the figure or whatever. So
yeah, which could be a style thing, could be a budget thing, could be a time scheduling thing.
Combination.
It could be a number of different things, but it's not the same. There's a difference.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine nowadays with the way the studios are set up. Everything is digitized. All these people working at the desk, hand drawing all that stuff for hours and hours on end to get that done.
On cells.
And then there's on cells and doing background paintings. They actually did paintings on boards and stuff. Yeah.
Maurice Noble and people like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a whole different. It's all changed.
Yeah, they don't make cartoons like Looney Tunes anymore. The level of animation.
When I've been asked what my major influences were for like creating, Joe Plant, aside from the biology, is me being raised on those cartoons from the 60s. The Looney Tunes and the Flintstones and Warner Brothers, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. And all those, all those are ingrained in me as part of my makeup. So it kind of comes out, my portrayal and the humor of the storyline and stuff. It's all in there. So
I miss that kind of fluid, cartoony animation. You just don't really see it anymore.
When I was in London last week, I went to. I just walked around with a friend of mine, my friend Peter. We were in the Soho area, and he says, "Oh, you're an animator. I'll take you to this little area." And so we go around a little. It was sort of like near a little park. It was really pretty, and there was sort of a line of houses and flats alongside this park, and it's kind of like a thin, sort of Victorian-looking building. And it's where Richard Williams' studio was.
That's awesome.
A friend of mine worked on Roger Rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool.
He would have worked in that little building, and everything that all the Pink Panther, opening titles, Roger Rabbit, his version of A Christmas Carol, and Thief and the Cobbler.
Yeah,
all in this tiny little, I think 3-story little house, with no plaque or anything to say so, but it was, it was quite a moment.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
they should add a plaque. They should make
it was empty.
Animation museum or something.
Something.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I got to put my finches are complaining. They want to go to bed. I just have to turn their light off. I'll be right back.
Sure, no worries.
Finches? She's got birds?
It sounds like it. Yeah, that's a sad thing with that reminds me of how Cartoon Network just got absorbed by Warner Brothers, and the buildings getting they're taking the Cartoon Network sign off the building and everything.
Yeah, they were selling little. Oh, I live just a few blocks away from. I mean, you can see the Cartoon Network building from the balcony outside my front door, and it's sad. It's sad to look at,
Yeah. I mean, Cartoon Network still exists technically,
the letters,
but it's just part of Warner Brothers. It still exists technically. It's just part of Warner Brothers Animation now.
Is Film Roman out of business?
I'm not sure. Cartoon Network got absorbed by Warner Brothers, though.
I think they were the original. It was the original studio that did The Simpsons. I don't think they're doing it anymore, though. What are they doing?
The Simpsons.
I think my dad pitched to Film Roman at one point.
Oh yeah. What did he pitch?
Everything. I can't remember what he pitched. He used to pitch a lot in the '90s to everyone.
What's your dad's background?
My dad's a cartoonist. He does freelance now, but he just has a history of pitching and meeting strange people. He had a deal with once with Nickelodeon, and it was this. I think it was like a team of Nickelodeon called the Creative Lab. They call it the Creative Lab, and he made a deal with them, and then the next week everyone in that team was fired. So his
what the heck?
His deal was gone.
Wow.
So it's sort of a series of unfortunate things like that. I think it was just a time when, like today, where a lot of lots of shifts, lots of changes, but
a documentary I'd like to recommend, which I think is still available on Tubi. It's called Happy Happy Joy Joy: The Story of Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, I'd love to watch that.
Yeah.
It gives you the whole rundown, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Working for Spumco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew some of those people who worked there. God.
My dad was actually in Nickelodeon pitching the day that John Kay left.
Really?
Oh, really? Okay.
He was in the middle of pitching a cartoon, and someone just burst into the boardroom and said, like they were out of breath, John Kay's gone. John Kay's gone. Fuck, what are we gonna do? and then meeting's over. My dad went home. That was the end. So
maybe John Kay cost your dad his show.
Just add that to the long miseries he's caused.
Yeah.
I was at a party and one of the guys was working there. He says, "See that guy over there that just walked in?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No." He said, don't ever work for him and stay away from him. It was John Kay.
It was John.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea who the time that I found out about him. So I couldn't believe how much Nickelodeon put up with his stuff. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm still blown away watching old Ren and Stimpy that they like that was allowed on children's television.
It's really crude. It's really crude.
It's incredibly crude and adult and like really weird and like they got away with so much back then. This is bizarre.
Even just like, remember I said I'd have this episode finished? It's not ready yet.
Oh yeah. They're always late.
They would just, they're always late. You know.
Yeah.
I can't think of doing that, let alone all the other stuff they got away with.
Yeah, don't whiz on the electric fence. The cat, like eating cat litter. so many gross gags. Just like
that's all covered in the documentary. By the way, they show that stuff, so you should enjoy it.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
See, watch.
Happy, joy, happy.
Oh my god! I bet there's so much drama behind the scenes on that show.
Yeah, they explain all of that. They interview all the people who work there, so...
That's cool.
Wow.
What'd you guys say are some of your biggest influences on your artwork in general? Just in general. Could be cartoonists or illustrators. I know Edward Gorey, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, with pen and ink cartooning, Edward Gorey, Ronald Searle, Ralph Steadman. It's so many. Tove Jansson, a fellow Finn. But also Hergé and all the I was mostly raised on Belgian comics, Tintin and Asterix.
Tintin, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about Asterix? Asterix,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was mostly those two, plus of course like Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts.
I love Calvin and Hobbes.
And Will Eisner. I grew up reading Will Eisner's Moby Dick.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's cool.
An adaptation of Moby Dick. He took a book this thick and made it this thin. It's a tiny book, and I thought that was my first sort of intro into what comics could do. You could take a book that thick, and it's like, well, obviously comics has some power of condensing or conveying quite a lot of information in such an easy.
It's funny.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Will Eisner, he made a very good point and stressed to all of us. You should be able to make a story understandable just by looking at the action in the panels without any dialogue. That the reader or the audience should understand what is going on in the story without the dialogue as an aid, and then you know that your storytelling visually is successful. So I've always kept that in the back of my mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's quite a lot of acting. There's a lot of performance.
Yeah, I stress a lot of acting because of my animation background, the film and animation. I do put a lot of acting into my characters, so it's an integral part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
I like to think of silent films when I'm working on my comics, because the acting is just so, it's almost like Victorian style acting. Everything's very expressive. People are posing, and it's this sort of, if you you were acting in that way in a live action or even just in a cartoon, it would just be so over the top. But somehow when you're drawing it for comics, it works. It's not over the top. It just helps convey what's going on in a scene.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The characters talking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how comics. You were saying how comics can condense like a story from a book. I feel like it's it's usually the opposite, at least, where there's because you have to you can only put so many words on the page, and there's. I mean, I guess visually you could you could skip through time, and there's lots of narrative devices you can use. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking.
I guess it depends on I think the novel to comic ratio, where if you've got a writer who's spending blocks and blocks of paragraphs describing something, that
could just be
visually
one picture.
One picture. Yeah. Then
I guess that's true.
But then again,
it's like that's where the artistic interpretation comes in. So
sure.
If you compare a screenplay from like 30, 40 years ago as to a screenplay written nowadays, there is so much condensation now. I mean, they would have like whole paragraphs of descriptions of scenes that the writer has contributed that you would never see now in any screenplay, So a lot of that, I don't know about comic book scripts, but they were a lot wordy back then than they are now. And even like the dialogue balloons, if you look at like earlier comics from like the 1970s, and you'll see like these large word balloons, dialogue balloons with a lot more dialogue in them than you do now.
Yeah.
So I just contribute that to the fact that maybe attention span over time has gotten less.
Oh, that's for sure.
And I think about that myself and try not to get too wordy in my dialogue. Because, the attention span is just not there anymore.
I probably should do that.
But with comic book script.
I definitely indulge dialogue sometimes. It's like one page in the last issue, or it's just a huge ass monologue for like a whole page.
Yeah.
The character is going on a rant.
Well, he's delivering a speech, so it's like cutting to different locations where people are like watching the speech on TV and responding to it and stuff. But it's a lot of words. I just know I'm gonna lose people with this.
I remember when Harvey Kurtzman was working for Playboy, they would send him off on these assignments, and Will Elder was his cartoonist, his illustrator at the time. He used to, Harvey provided the dialogue and the script, and Will Elder then did the illustration, and he would do like these, these big page. One page full spread or whatever, and splash page of, let's say, an orgy or something like that he witnessed, or a hippie happening, and they're like these dialogue balloons all plastered all over the splash page, all these characters around. He used to show us those things when he brought them to class before they were published. We got a chance to see them up close. But it was like all dialogue that he recorded while he was at these events, and he used them in the splash page.
That's interesting. Real life dialogue in the comic. That's cool.
I'm going to say that I think it's different from when you're illustrating it and writing it yourself than when you're writing, at least for comics, when you're writing something that then you're going to hand off to an illustrator.
Oh yeah.
And there's different interpretations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Harvey was an accomplished illustrator on his own. Don't kid yourself. In the early days of Mad Magazine, he was contributing a lot of comic strips. to the format. And later on, they hired more artists to work on it. Like, Sergio Aragonés. You ever heard of him?
Oh, yes. Oh, I love Sergio Aragonés.
Yeah. Gru, one of his comic books, Gru, his comic book characters. Yeah. And I worked with him on George of the Jungle and, doing storyboards. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, they hired him to do a couple of segments on that. And I told him about some pet parrots that I had, and from the description I gave him of my birds, he started sketching out just right in front of me these little cartoons of my birds, which I have now. Yeah, that's very awesome. Quick. Oh, he's extremely. So I have them framed on my bookshelf there. So of my former pet birds that I had. So
that's fantastic.
Can we see?
Oh, you want me to bring them?
If you're up for it. Let's see them birds.
I know. She does have birds. Very cool.
What were you up to in London?
All right.
You said you were visiting London recently.
Oh yeah, it was for a book launch of a book I illustrated.
Oh, which one?
It was a book I illustrated about a Swedish mystic from the 18th century named Emanuel Swedenborg.
That's quite a name.
Can you see that?
See.
Look at that. Oh, yeah, I can't really higher up.
I told him my bird died, so he drew the bird as an angel in heaven.
Back a little bit.
Can you hold it back a bit and then up?
Okay.
Oh, now I see. Oh, perfect.
Oh, bird angel. Bandito. That's so cool.
Bandito in heaven. So that's one.
Oh, great frame.
And then I told him about my bird. I lost one of my other parrots. I had no idea where this bird went. It ended up, the bird flew into my closet when it was open, and I had no idea, and I closed the closet on the bird. So this was...
Oh, it got trapped in there?
Scared in the closet. What?
It was trapped in there?
It was trapped in there and crying.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh my god!
It's a little too close.
Can't quite see. They're in the dark. But it was amazing how quickly he sketched these out. So
it's awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's still around.
Cool. Yeah.
He's still around working. He lives in Camarillo.
Where's that?
You know about the Cartoon Artists Professional Society, CAPS, Ben?
No, I don't.
Okay, they have their meetings in Burbank. I still think they still meet in Burbank, but you should check them online about joining them. You might like being a part of them.
Yeah, you should.
Cartoon Artists Professional Society. Mm-hmm. I used to be a member of that too. Sergio is still a member of that.
Sorry, what?
Sergio Aragonés, he's still a member of that organization. So.
Oh, very good. Oh, very good. All right. That'd be great. I think I have some voice actor friends who might be a part of that.
Okay.
They meet in Burbank in a hotel lounge, I think. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I remember June Foray. I met her a few times.
My gosh, really?
Speaking of, she did Rocky and Bolt. You know Rocky?
As Rocky, yeah. Speaking of,
yeah.
So you got, wow, that is so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had a big birthday party for her years ago that I went to. That was fun. The Animation Union had a big birthday party for her. So.
Wow.
That must have been
my gosh. She did everything. She played everybody. Nell Fenwick and Dudley Do-Right.
That's right, Dudley Do. She played Nell and Dudley Do-Right. Yeah.
And no. Yeah. Yeah, I have something signed by June Foray. I never met her, but I have an autograph from her. A piece of animation. I think it was from a animated commercial that she did a voice for. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, we never talked about what do you think about Japanese animation, anime? You have any thoughts about that? Has it had any influence on you at all?
Yeah, it's been a massive influence on me.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge...
I wasn't really... I missed out on a lot growing up. So only recently have I started to wade into those waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big part of my watch schedule as a kid, too. Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion, Eighth Man, Tobor. And then there was Gigantor. I used to watch that. Marine Boy. Yeah, I watched all those shows. The old anime.
Old school anime, that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of shows I still need to watch.
I had VHS reruns of Ultraman, but that was live
Ultraman.
Oh, I love Ultraman.
Ultraman's great.
Ultraman's awesome. Yeah. I watched Godzilla growing up as a kid, so...
Yeah.
But then Ultraman I didn't discover until college, actually. My roommates showed it to me. We watched it a bunch.
I had a copy on VHS of Lensman. You ever watch Lensman?
Lensman, no.
Lensman. Yes. And Akira.
Oh yeah.
Akira's
a huge influence on me. I watched that a little too young, I think. I was like maybe 12 or something when my dad showed that to me. It was pretty intense. But yeah. It should traumatize me, but in a good way, because it's awesome. And I'm still like, I don't know, I feel like my art is very, there's a lot of synth organic kind of like meshing of technology and organic matter, like in the finale, that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking about...
Seen what?
Have I seen what? Oh.
I was going to ask if you'd seen The Boy and the Heron.
I think about the stories.
I really need to see it. Which one? The latest Ghibli movie, The Boy and the Heron.
Oh, yeah. Boy, and I saw some snippets of that. It looks interesting.
I've been really meaning to see that and Godzilla -1. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I've seen it.
I don't know if they're still in theaters. I hope they're still in theaters, but probably not.
They brought the black and white version to theaters last week.
For -1?
It was even scarier for Godzilla -1. Yeah.
Oh man. I'm hyped. I've heard only good things about it.
I remember the first Godzilla starring Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
He was the only English-speaking actor in the movie. You know, Perry Mason.
That's right.
Is it Perry Mason is in Godzilla?
And Rear Window too. He's the killer in Rear Window. Magnificent eyes he had.
Yeah. Oh man, as a kid that movie devastated me because Godzilla dies at the end. I love Godzilla.
Those post-nuclear kaiju movies from the 1950s, they were a riot. They really were.
Yeah.
Rodan and Mothra and Gamera, the giant turtle.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Godzilla has a battle with all of those, too, at one point.
So. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Rodan
in the middle of the city.
Godzilla staple enemies, pretty much. They're still making Godzilla movies. They're a lot different now, though. Or the American ones are very different from the Godzilla minus one.
Yeah. Oh, very different.
I love Shin Godzilla. That was like that movie was something.
I've only seen bits of it, but I want to see it the whole way through.
Oh yeah, you should check it out. It's really good.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I like I like that it's. I don't know. It has a really good sense of realism, which I feel like is rare in those monster movies. Because it's just like the chaotic like council meetings in the city, and they're all like dealing with politics and like.
That hasn't changed, has it?
Yeah, but it's like all this bureaucracy and like hoops that they have to jump through just to get
kaiju movies. Yeah, that's in all those Japanese kaiju movies dating back to the 50s. That hasn't really changed.
Yeah, true. Oh man, but then Godzilla in that movie is insane. He's like constantly evolving throughout the movie, and like in pain.
But yeah, and he's like bug-eyed and bleeding. Yeah,
he's bleeding all over the streets as he's like in his kind of tadpole form, like his arms aren't like fully evolved yet. He's like crawling around, and then eventually he's able to stand up. And then oh man, the scene where he like uses the atomic breath for the first time is insane. Never seen anything like it.
Oh man,
this guy who made Evangelion.
There's a cheesy sci-fi movie called Evolution that stars David Duchovny.
I love that movie.
Have you seen that? It's so retarded.
Oh yeah, that movie's funny. A three-eyed smiley face. Just there's some cool like practical effects I think for that movie. Like when they encounter those creatures.
Speaking of speedy evolution, I mean those alien life forms, they go through the whole evolutionary process.
Yeah.
Like 24 hours.
Yeah, sped up evolution is pretty dangerous. Pretty scary. Oh man, The Thing is kind of like that. It's like that's my favorite sci-fi horror movie. I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Thing.
Yeah, I love The Thing.
Yeah.
Practical effects in the movie are insane.
So you guys like Ray Harryhausen? You like the stuff that he did?
Yeah,
I love Ray Harryhausen.
Definitely.
Oh my god.
That was the only other example I could think of like stop motion and live action kind of like mixed together.
Oh my god!
Like besides Marcel the Shell, there's not really a lot of examples of that. Oh, Elf.
Marcel the Shell.
Yeah, Willis O'Brien did I think King Kong.
Oh yeah.
He was a student of Harryhausen, and he did the Giant Behemoth. Yeah, he was a student of Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, I watched that.
Oh no, Harryhausen was a student of O'Brien.
Well, I think Willis. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they did Mighty Joe Young together.
Oh, Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
Monster movies are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I just said monster movies are fun.
Monster movies are fun, and I always root for the monster.
Yeah, same. Ever since I always rooted for the monster. I never cared about the humans as a kid.
Well, it's not its fault. It's not its fault. It's usually because of some human-based folly that they've become monsters.
It's just doing its thing.
Isn't that usual?
It's doing what's in its nature. Being a monster.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Godzilla.
Yeah, and Godzilla.
I mean, it was global warming, melting ice in the Arctic that brought the beast from 20,000 Fathoms back to life. So
yeah, right.
And The Thing,
right? This whole ice shelf falls into the ocean, and he's brought back to life. So
it happens with Godzilla and. Godzilla vs. King Kong, the original one, not the recent one. He gets woken up from like a big old iceberg. Apparently there's two versions of that movie. There's an American version and a Japanese version. King Kong won in the American and then Godzilla won in the Japanese version. Which I didn't know. I only watched the American version as a kid. And I was bummed. I was bummed that Kong won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I noticed a lot of comics are like combining dinosaurs with cowboys, you know.
Oh, really?
So I've noticed a couple of versions of that, and I always ask the writer of it, I said, well, I guess that you must have seen Valley of the Gwangi, which was another Ray Harryhausen using where they're lassoing the T-Rex and stuff.
Oh, I've seen clips of that. I haven't seen the movie, though.
Yeah.
There's my last year at CalArts, I was making a film that was like a fantasy sci-fi western with the main character rode like a raptor. He's like a goblin and just this desolate desert wasteland. Dinosaur, very much a dinosaur western.
Yeah. And then there was this bizarre monster.
Yeah.
This bizarre monster was brought back from I don't know, from Mars. Another Harryhausen, 20 million miles to Earth, and it gets away.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it eats salt. It needs salt to eat, so it's always trying to find salt to eat.
That's interesting.
This is a weird one too. So.
Yeah, what was the character you voiced? I'm like blanking on it. Something Baron something.
Baron von Munchausen.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, that was great. I wish I finished that. That was a good short. It just couldn't get it done in time. It's too big. I was juggling too many other things.
It was an ambitious project. It was great though, for what I had seen of it.
Thanks. Yeah, maybe someday we'll see the. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I might just post like the storyboard someday because it's still watchable, and the voices you guys did were great.
Yeah,
the music and everything.
That was me and Nick D'Agostino, right?
Yeah. He was Skaz, the Goblin.
Right.
He was literally perfect for that character. He literally sounded like I imagined the character in my head. That's so rare that happens.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was doing storyboards at Filmation, I had to time the dialogue in the script. They still do that? They time it?
Yeah.
I mean, in stop motion, we call it track reading, and we've had to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
For all sorts of...
Yeah, when I was storyboarding on Right After Pow, we were kind of doing animatics. Like, they gave us the dialogue, and then we put it into, like, a flash file. And so we would have to time the different poses and stuff directly to the audio tracks. We just kind of skipped storyboards and went straight to animatics. Because they already had it all recorded, script-based.
Yeah, working on She-Ra.
What's that?
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I remember. It's always fun. It was always fun going to dailies with all the different episodes that they filmed. You know, with He-Man and She-Ra and stuff like Ghostbusters to see what they ended up shooting for that day and be in there with the directors.
Yeah.
And some of the background artists were having fun with like hidden Easter eggs in the background that they painted into the background that wasn't readily visible unless you really look for it.
Yeah.
So,
little Easter eggs.
So there was one rock formation that was in one of the episodes. I don't know if it was He-Man or She-Ra, but it was the rock the shape of the rock formations was pretty obvious what they were supposed to be. everybody saw it, but nobody said any. Only one director said something about it. He went, "Did you see? Never mind. Just let it go."
He probably realized how much work it would be to go back and change it. Yeah. Reshoot it. I didn't see nothing. Must have been the wind.
So it actually got into the episode. So now I can see all these Filmation fans now. I got to watch all the episodes now of He-Man and She-Ra and see if I can find that.
Yeah. It's like people point that stuff out in Disney films saying it's propaganda or subliminal messages or something.
Oh,
no, it's just artists being
having
bored,
fun.
having fun. Yeah, just putting stupid little Easter eggs in.
Well, I think Ray Harryhausen's name gets hidden a lot in films.
Mm-hmm.
There's art films where they. I think in one of the I think it's in Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit. There's a grand piano that has Harryhausen written. It's you can barely see it, but it's there. At Monsters Inc. There's the Japanese restaurant that's called Harryhausen's.
Oh, that's right.
Where a squid is the chef, which is a callback to.
I never even put that together. And it makes sense because it's a whole movie about monsters. Of course, they'd make a tribute to him.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with a Cyclops character in there, too.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I have some questions that I want to ask you guys. I want to ask every guest just because I think it's interesting. It's not necessarily art related, but it is odd stuff related for the Oddcast. What is the oddest or most unexplainable thing that you've ever experienced in life? I don't know, it could be a ghost story or an alien story or just a weird glitch in the Matrix moment that didn't make any sense, or I don't know. Something unexplainable. Have you ever had any of those?
Well, there's a lot of unexplainable things that are in the Mojave Desert. If you work out in the desert, you do experience a lot of weird stuff out there.
Like what kind of weird stuff?
People leave it. We were ground truthing research sites. Ground truthing, you mean you have a computer spits out GPS coordinates for you, but you have to physically go check them out and see if they're usable to do research on. So there was this one area in the Mojave Desert, and they would there's always if you've lived in LA, they have these old abandoned houses out in the desert, who knows who lived there or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was this one house we went into, and there was still there was all this paraphernalia still lying around from the previous tenants, whoever lived there. And there was dozens and dozens of Polaroids of these young guys who were in their 20s, and it looks like they were living with this woman who was 50 or 60 years old. It was really, I don't know if it was a cult or anything, but we were all making remarks about this, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
What was going on in this house until it was he had this whole harem of young men living with her. I don't know what. So we just dropped everything and left it there and walked out. But there's a whole bunch of old houses like that out in the desert with who knows who's living there and what they were doing. It's anybody's guess, but it was kind of creepy seeing these pictures.
Yeah.
What was going on there.
Whole story there. That's cool. So that's the most unexplained thing you saw in the desert?
I don't know. Well, there was, sometimes you run into bones and things like that. was only human bones or something, you know. But I mean, when I was like on a job, if I had to, if I found human remains, obviously, I had to report it into law enforcement.
Yeah.
So, because they could be evidence for a missing person or a murder or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Would they be able to tell, or like the team that you're with, would they be able to tell if they're like recent human remains or like ancient human remains? Or
Well, they have on site an anthropologist or an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we were doing, biological monitoring to determine that. And if they were ancient remains, they might be from a Native American tribe. So if it was like on lands that were historically tribal lands, they had to have a representative from the local tribe there to determine that. Because it might be an ancient burial site or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating. Yeah. Oh, what's that?
Hmm?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something bad.
No?
Oh, no. I just said it's just strange. It's just...
Yeah. Ben, what about you?
No, I was at a more recent, back in 1998, I went to visit a friend of mine in Germany, and I went to Oktoberfest by myself. And the thing about Oktoberfest in Munich, usually a whole bunch of people rents a table there for the entire thing or whatever, but I didn't. My friend just said, well, I have to go with my company. You just go there by yourself, and somebody will invite you over to their table. So I eventually got invited over to these 3 Danish guys who were doing business in Germany, and was having beer with them. And as the time progressed, then there was another table with female impersonators there. They had just finished doing their club thing or whatever, and they were at the Oktoberfest. And the guys I was with, they were sort of making fun of these guys, the female impersonators. So I went over there, and I didn't like their behavior, so I went with them. But we were all so drunk, those 2 tables started to get into some kind of fight with each other, and I really didn't want to be a part of this.
Oh, yeah.
So the female impersonators wanted to know if I wanted to go with them to a party. I had no idea where this party was, so I said, maybe not that I didn't trust them or anything like that. I said, I don't know where I'm going. So anyway, I don't know how I got home, because that was the last time I ever drank so much, and I never drank that much after that. But all I know is I think I had like 5 liters of beer.
Oh, my God.
And I don't drink anymore, but I don't remember how I got back to my friend's apartment, but somehow I managed to. But I literally had to break up that fight. I got in between. I said, stop it. So fortunately, nothing ever happened.
Yeah. It's intense. Stop the potential drunken brawl.
Well, yeah. So I said, stop it. Because one of the young Danish guys wanted me to go back to his hotel with him, and I didn't want to go with him. I didn't want to go with the other guys either. So just said, cut it out. Going home, wherever home was.
Yeah.
And, that was, I think, the drunkest I ever got in my life was at that Oktoberfest.
Wow. Yeah,
I never did that again.
Yeah, I've been there like once or twice, maybe.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's bad if you don't. Yeah, it's bad if you don't remember anything.
Yeah, it's not good. Not a good place to be. Yeah, after the Halloween party, I didn't remember much, and I woke up at my friend Gordon's apartment, but I didn't even know where I was at first, and then I looked around and realized eventually recognize some stuff. That was crazy. Ben, you got any spooky stories?
Spooky stories.
Just
I
unexplained
used to work in a haunted
stuff.
hotel.
Yeah? You saw some
I
ghosts?
used to work in a haunted hotel in my hometown, but everything would always be experienced by other people. I never experienced anything. But I experienced something recently in Burbank.
Oh.
There's a place that we like to go to called Story Tavern on San Fernando Boulevard here in Burbank, and my wife and I are pretty chummy with the waitresses there, and they tell us ghost stories. I think they named the ghost Carl, who's there. Oh, Carl's been acting up. Carl's been messing with the stereo. Carl's been seen in the corner. He's been a shadow. He's been, knocking glassware over, or, So one night, I think this was last November, I walked into the men's room, and just as I got into the room, it's a really small bathroom, and if there was anybody else in there, I would have known, because it's just so small. There's one stall in there, and it slammed shut without anybody behind it, and the lights went off and the music went off.
Oh my
all
God.
at once in the bathroom, and I ran like a bat out of hell. I ran out of there. I was like, okay, I'll use the other bathroom.
Carl pranked you.
Yeah. And the hotel I worked at was weird. People would get, covers pulled over their heads, and I'd work at the front desk. Sometimes I'd just say, like, I saw a sea captain go through the French doors. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's happened before,
That's fascinating.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman scared me in a shoe store when I was a kid. That's a story.
That's awesome.
Really? What
What's
happened?
so scary about him?
Yeah, well,
Scary
not so
guy.
paranormal, but it's spooky, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
But,
What did
I
he
haven't
do?
had any paranormal experiences.
I had a strange experience, but I think it was just from exhaustion. I don't think it was any entity, but it was while I was working on the Alan Moore book, which is a grimoire. Like, it is a book about magic and the occult.
Alan Moore believes in that stuff. He's a wizard.
Yep. And I was working on. I had done a few comic book pages for it already, but I had arrived at the Aleister Crowley page, and I drew it, but for some reason, when it came to coloring it, it's a very intricate, page. I don't know. Something about it just felt very daunting and overwhelming, figuring out how I was going to go about digitally coloring it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so wiped out, and so for some reason I was just like, I am very tired. I need to go to bed. And I was lying in bed at night, and I just heard this voice, like, in my head, like stereo, like it was like man, like female and male, like in each ear. But it was like this booming voice that said, "There are spiders, and there are tarantulas." It was very weird. And then I woke up, or I was awake, but I was just sort of.
What does that mean?
What is this? And I think it was just out of exhaustion when you just hear things in your head. But it was just weird to be working on an Aleister Crowley thing, and then that happens. Mm-hmm. But I sort of rationalized it as sort of, I'm not afraid of spiders, but tarantulas kind of freak me out because they're big.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, well, you're treating this page like it's a tarantula. If you just treat it like any of the other things you've been doing, you just treat it like a spider, it won't be so scary. Like I like that. Internalized it that way, and I was able to do it. But it was weird. I don't get it. I don't drink and I don't.
Well, what did it say exactly again?
There are spiders and there are tarantulas.
I like that.
Yeah.
My problem is I don't scare very easily at anything. So, I mean, look at it this way: I've had to go out in the desert and save rattlesnakes, and I just don't have a lot of fear of this stuff, which was problematic for me when I was a little girl. You know, my parents always had to pulling me away from stuff. Don't touch it. You know? So it's just on the opposite end of the spectrum there. I was always bringing spiders and lizards and snakes and toads home. So, yeah, it's just the opposite. So I don't know how I would react if there was a ghost. Like, I'd probably look at it and say, okay. Yeah.
Try to have a conversation.
I'd like to see something. I've seen flashes of light in cemeteries at night.
Oh.
I've seen ball lightning. That's an amazing phenomenon. Have you ever
That's
seen
incredibly
ball lightning?
rare. No, never.
I did witness ball lightning at a truck stop in Arizona. Yeah, on a stormy monsoon night.
What did it look like? What did it do?
It was a ball of flash. It went streaking across the sky, and it landed in sparks on the ground. And it was really bizarre because there were all these spadefoot toads out at that time to breed. So they were hopping all over the road. Thousands of these toads were like hopping all over the place.
Wow.
And this ball lightning came through.
Sounds like such a surreal moment.
So that was a very interesting phenomenon to witness that, because I know it's rare. You know, you don't get to see that too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even been photographed or videoed before.
Oh, there's videos on YouTube of it that people have taken.
Yeah, I know there's one popular one that's like CG. Maybe there's some real ones, but it's incredibly rare. Phenomena. That's amazing. Yeah, most people do not get to see that.
With all the toads hopping on the ground too.
Yeah, that really elevates the weirdness of the scene. Surrealness of it.
Jeez. Yeah. Biblical.
Yeah, it's a plague.
It's a plague.
Wow.
Lightning and frogs. Toads.
Followed by the slaying of the firstborn.
Oh God, yeah.
There's strange things in life and in nature, like strange coincidences and things that just sort of are just so strange.
Yeah.
What about you, Wylder? What about?
I've seen some weird stuff. You were talking about the sleep one, like where you fell asleep and you're woken up by that voice. I had one where I had an experience where I tried to stay up for like 3 days. Or I tried just to stay up as long as I could, just as like an experiment, I guess, to see what happened. And on like the second night, I was staying at my friend's house, and I was like in his kitchen, and his living room was to the left of me, and I was like animating something, and I started seeing some weird stuff in like my peripheral vision, like the shadows in the living room started like kind of like undulating, almost like it was like I don't know, like wispy or smoky or like liquid or something, and then even when I looked at it, it still looked weird. Like, and then these like shadow beings started like forming out of it and like crawling towards me. And but I could only see them in my peripheral vision. Like when I looked at them, they would dissipate and like retreat back into the shadows. And then I went back to work, and then they started coming again. I like looked at them, they disappeared. They just kept like reaching towards me. It was really disturbing. It's like these 3D like shadow forms. I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh, no thank you.
Yeah. I'd never experienced anything like that before since like full-blown hallucinations, I guess, but like they were so... It was so weird that I could only see them on peripheral too. Like they would just dissipate when I tried to focus on them. But they kept coming back, and then eventually I like I don't know. I made like I just imagined shield, like protected myself basically. Just like made like Green Lantern energy shields around me. I'm like, fuck off, whatever the hell this is. I don't know if it's hallucination or not, but I don't want you to touch me. And they like backed off after that. So, and then I went to sleep the next day.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the weird ones.
And can you imagine being like a forensic pathologist that has to deal with dead bodies and all the weird stuff that dead bodies naturally do?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
That's
Eyes that
sitting up
open
or
up screen.
passing gas.
Yeah.
And things like
One of my favorite Futurama episodes. Bender becomes human. Did you see that one?
what?
Have you guys seen Futurama?
No.
There's one where Bender like becomes a human, and he's a robot, and so he just becomes a massive glutton and just like eats and drinks nonstop until he becomes like a 1,000-pound blob. And then he gets like an award at the end of the episode for something, and he's like, woo! And then, but then you find out he's been dead for like, he's been dead for like 5 minutes, and they're like, oh, that was just a gas escaping the flabs of his fat, and they push him, and he goes, woo!
You can probably find articles online with the experience of forensic pathologists, all the weird stuff that dead bodies do after death.
Yeah, I can
It's
only
actually
imagine.
part of the natural process. So.
Yeah. I hear there's all sorts of weird stories about people who have like near-death experiences, or like people who are dying and see weird stuff. DMT,
Or
the brain.
people who are brought back to life and
Zombies.
they've seen something.
Oh yeah.
Voodoo zombies, where they use that, what is that, curare? What is that, toxin that they use is that makes somebody freeze, and they bury them, and they come back to life like 3 days later or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
Oh.
I know there's like a drug in South America where you just become like it's a mind control drug. It's really disturbing because people will just like be at the ATM, and then they'll just be at home in an empty apartment, and they don't know how they got there or what happened, and like they'll go back and like they'll report it to the police, and they'll just someone just like blows something in their face and then like tells them to withdraw all the money from their ATM, and then they help them move like all their stuff out of their house. People, it's some insane stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I have in my first issue of Joe Plant is trying to rescue some land in the Amazon rainforest from miners.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumps over a tapir. And the tapir is eating these berries from this tree that contributes a drug to the ayahuasca. The tapir is convinced that he's hallucinating. He sees this plant like plant thing jumping over him. He said, I really got to lay off this stuff.
That's a good bit.
That's the first issue in.
There's a woman I used to work at that haunted hotel with.
Yeah.
And her own house was haunted.
Yeah.
Right.
She brought some
So I went
ghosts
over
home
to
with
her
her.
house when. Yeah. I went over to her house. I think it was for a Halloween party, and I'm just in the living room, and I just see this shadow, this just black, amorphous shadow. It looked like a dog. It looked like or a belly pig.
Mhm.
It was like of a low animal, like going up the stairs.
Whoa.
And I said, Carol, do you have a dog or a pig? I saw something, a shadow of something go up the stairs. He goes, oh, well, that's the beast.
The beast?
That's the beast. Beast? What the hell's the beast? He goes, oh, that's the beast. I'm like, okay. The spirit of some. But then she became a Jehovah's Witness, and overnight she decided that she no longer believed in any of these things, despite living in a haunted house and working at the most haunted hotel in New England.
Having seen this stuff many times, apparently.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you hear about
She was
people.
No, go ahead.
You hear about people who have, pet cats and dogs that seem to be staring at something that they can't see or notice, and was it, what is my cat or dog looking at? And they're like growling and like, what is it that you see?
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a spider? Is it a mosquito? What is it? Is it something else?
Mm-hmm.
Some visible
Kids too.
entity.
Kids are like that. When my cousin was, I have a 10-year-old cousin, and when she was 4 or 5, we'd be over at my grandmother's house, and he'd be waving in at the corner of the room where there was nobody, and then she, like, where did he go? He flew away. Ooh, who are you waving to? Who are you? You're freaking me out, kid.
Yeah.
Did you have an invisible friend when you were a kid? You always have to wonder about these kids with their invisible friends. Like, are they making it up, or is there really an invisible friend?
I had an imaginary friend called Ralph the Smoking Squirrel. He was like a really foul-mouthed squirrel that like used guns and smoked cigarettes. And
Well, maybe you should make a comic about him.
I should. Yeah, I remember one time though. It was like at I think we were doing like family therapy or something, and at the tree outside of the therapist's house we were at, I saw a squirrel pick up a cigarette butt and like hold it to its mouth, like right in front of me, and I was just staring at it. It was like looking back at me, like Ralph.
He lives.
He lives.
Yeah, you manifested him somehow. Conjured him.
I don't know. I don't know why he was nibbling on a cigarette, but maybe he's, I don't know, addicted to nicotine.
Yeah,
poor guy. Did you have imaginary friends?
I think I had an imaginary. I had an imaginary friend. I think he was a vampire.
Oh, okay.
I think I just called him the Count.
The Count.
And be with me, Count. I think I was in kindergarten or first grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say I had an imaginary friend, but I drew a lot of comics when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had a character that was a dinosaur that acted like a person.
Oh.
So I did complete comic strips of him. He was called Nutty the Dinosaur. And he was a T-Rex that wore clothes and hats. And, he was a detective, So that was my first comic book series.
That's cool.
The dinosaur detective named Nutty the Dinosaur. And, where like other little girls would have their dolls, I had a whole huge plastic bag of plastic dinosaurs that I carried with me everywhere.
That's awesome.
I used to collect those. Yeah. And one of my old relatives hated it. She had a heavy German accent, and whenever she used to see me with my dinosaurs playing with it, put those dinosaurs away. Put them away.
Dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs. Don't put the dinosaurs.
The singer? Oh, my dinosaurs. Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
All right, guys.
I'm trying to think now if there's other strange
stuff.
Strange things. Yeah.
Oh, the dog story? I think there was a shadow dog in experimental animation. I heard a lot of people tell these stories about that. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Yeah, a lot of when you said that, I was like, oh, someone else told me that they'd seen like a black shadowy dog that lived in experimental animation cubes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was in those cubes at all hours of the night.
I never saw it.
And I'd sleep there sometimes, like trying to finish my films. I wish I'd seen a beast.
I did get sleep paralysis sleeping in the cubes one time. And that doesn't happen very often.
Oh.
Yeah. It was
one night I was in...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, one night I was in the cubes, one of the computer labs at Cal Arts.
Yeah.
It was like 4 a.m. I was the only one there. I was trying to finish my film. And I was hunched over one of the Cintiqs. And just like the way those screens work in the Cintiq, like you can see your own reflection, kind of shadow reflection, and the light. There was like a light above me. And I just saw like the reflection of like somebody like moving past me, like, excuse me. And I had headphones on, so I was like, oh, sorry. And there was nobody there.
Oh,
so that freaked me out.
I don't like that.
No. But that's another thing. Like all these experiences have been me sleep deprived and like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
But
sleep deprived ones you can kind of explain away or rationalize.
Sure.
Yeah. Not the ones when you see it in the middle of the day when you're wide awake. Or there's multiple people that see it. Oh, man. Tomas? He's an experimental.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Tomas, we saw in Van Nuys when we were driving home one time, there was this plane hovering above a building. That was really weird. It's like hovering above an apartment. And then like above the plane, it was like a small like passenger plane. And then above the plane, there's like a helicopter circling around, like shining a light on the plane. Like the helicopter was confused too. Like what the fuck? Because the plane wasn't making any noise or anything. It was just like hovering maybe like 15 feet above this apartment complex. And then we both saw it, and we like slowed down and looked at it, and then we were like, let's get out of here. This is weird.
Oh, that's such a common occurrence in LA. The helicopters at night.
Yeah.
Chasing a suspect or.
Well, that's the normal. Yeah, that's normal. But the hovering plane underneath it was not normal. I've never seen that. It didn't look like an advanced jet or anything. It was like a simple-looking passenger plane, just motionless.
Wow.
What the hell is that?
What the hell is up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my best guess is it's like, I don't know. I believe in aliens and stuff, so I think it might have been like a cloaked ship of some kind or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's this video going around on, I guess, Instagram and TikTok of this bizarre-shaped entity that they see at military bases,
The squid?
like floating. You know what I say? What I say in the comments? I said, "You're all wrong. That's Optimus Prime." I just tell everybody that. It looks like Optimus Prime.
Does it?
I know. To me, it kind of does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I don't know if you're talking about the same video I saw or a different one. There's like this squid-looking thing that people saw at a military base, and like it's like in infrared, and like I think I posted in the Discord a while ago on
Now
stuff.
this is like a grayish figure that sort of floats by.
Oh.
The camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right there. Disclosure kind of happening, but also not being shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I've got an open mind to those sort of things, just because it's just so much fun.
yeah.
I don't-
And in
Well,
my
the
mind, like the
probability-
universe is so big. There's so many
Yeah,
planets
that's what I mean.
and
The
stars.
probability is there, right? But what I have, I had questioned though, why would a civilization that is like millions of light years away from us, that perhaps could be advanced, or why would they, for some reason, want to seek us out and check us
Yeah.
out? What is like? I mean, to me, that's just human ego getting in the way there. So.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different. That question, there's a lot to unpack there because there could be a lot of different reasons. But yeah,
You know, humans like to think that we're so special and important that, a civilization living millions of light years would be intrigued by us enough to want to hang around and observe us. I mean, considering there's like millions of other worlds out there, or just basically a piece of dust out there in the universe.
Yeah,
So-
we're an uncivilized, undeveloped civilization. Still figuring stuff out. We haven't. We're still haven't even colonized our own system yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe aliens are curious like us, and they just see other life and they want to
They might
study
be,
it.
but unless you can full space, third stage Space Guild navigators in Dune, or like that Civilization in Contact, where the thing that they made didn't seem to even travel anywhere because they were able to go through dimensions and time. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, who knows what kind of technology they have access to.
Mhm.
But anyways, it's almost 10, so I think we should wrap things up, you guys. Yeah, I had a great time talking to both of you.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Ben.
This was a lot of fun.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I've been following your work too. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great meeting you, talking to you for the first time, Hannah. We've only
Thank you.
interacted online
Same
so
here.
far.
Yeah.
And Ben,
Now, where are you calling from?
Me?
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, very cool. Very
I'm
cool.
still out in the
Wow.
desert.
Ben, you're calling from Burbank.
I'm
Burbank.
from Burbank. Yep.
Nice. And I'm in Dayton, Ohio.
What took you to Dayton?
It was just the closest city to my girlfriend's family.
Gotcha.
And so we got an apartment here. When I
Much more affordable in
Sure,
Los
right.
Angeles, that's for
oh
sure.
yeah, that's for sure. We got
Oh my God.
it's like 600 for 3-bedroom.
Oh, my word.
A lot cheaper than LA.
Whoa.
But also like wages and stuff are a lot lower out here, so. But it is what it is. Anyways, thank you both for coming on, and
yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
Keep in touch, guys.
Yeah, let's stay in touch.
Maybe we'll work on a project together. You never know.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fun. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm still bummed about the project we were gonna do. Why am I blanking right now? The Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, Sirens of Titan.
Yeah, Sirens of Titan.
Yeah. We got so close.
I know. And then they haven't even made it. They never made the adaptation, I don't think. That they like.
Is that Vonnegut?
Yeah.
Vonnegut's. I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in school.
Yeah, Wylder and I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like an adaptation.
Yeah.
And we got in contact with like the rights owners, and then we found out that they were like already developing something with like Dan Harmon.
Yes. Yeah, and they said like, "Can you top this amount of money?" And you know, you and I.
We can't top any amount of money.
That amount of money.
Time to crowdfund.
But the guys talked to us.
What's that?
Yeah.
Time to do crowdfund.
But the guy like. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I just said time to crowdfunding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get those backers.
Yes.
Backers and investors.
Yeah. That's the way to do it these days.
Really is.
All
right, guys.
Well, have a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, you too.
Wrap up the stream here. Thanks so much for watching. If anyone's in the chat. And yeah, thank you both for dropping by.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good evening, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
You too.
Take care, guys. And I was gonna say, Ben, or both of you,
yeah.
If you ever want to work and hang, or just catch up, like not on a podcast setting, just hanging out, feel free.
Sure. Oh, I
miss
that. Yeah,
I miss like the environment we had in experimental animation, just hanging out, making art, you know, idle conversation.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Creative zone.
Take care, guys.
All right, you too.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah,
bye.
you guys.
Have a good night.
Until next time.
Till next time. Till next time.